Okay, real question. Have you ever read the first page of a finance book and immediately felt like the dumbest person in the room?
Every single time.
Right? All these big words. Compound interest, portfolio diversification, liquidity ratios. And you're thinking, I just wanted to save some money.
But here is the thing. The ideas in those books, they are actually simple. Someone just translated them into complicated language and called it smart.
And that is exactly why we exist. Welcome to the show where we take the world's most powerful finance books, the ones that changed how millions of people think about money, and we break them down.
In plain English. Real English. The English you actually use every day.
And here's the part nobody told you. While we talk about money, your English is getting better without you even trying.
Two things at once. Finance knowledge, English fluency.
I'm Maya.
And I'm Alex. And today, episode 1. We are starting with the book that started it all for millions of people around the world.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
By Robert Kiyosaki. Have you heard of it? Most people have. But here is what most people miss when they read it. And that is exactly what we are here for today. Stay with us 20 minutes, one book, and by the end, you will understand money differently. And you will have learned real English doing it. Let's go.
So Maya, before we get into the big ideas, let's talk about where this book comes from. Because the story behind the book is actually what makes the book.
Tell me.
Robert Kiyosaki grew up in Hawaii, middle-class family. His father, his real father, was an educated man. He had a PhD. He worked hard his whole life. He had a government job, a steady salary. He followed every rule society told him to follow.
And
he struggled with money his entire life. He always felt like there was never enough. He retired without much saved. Kiyosaki loved his father, but he watched him and thought, something is wrong with this picture.
And then there was the other dad.
Yes, his best friend Mike's father. He never finished high school. No fancy degree, no government job. He started small businesses. He bought properties. He invested. He learned how money actually works. By the time Kiyosaki was an adult, Mike's dad was one of the richest men in Hawaii.
Same island, same time, completely different results.
Exactly. And Kiyosaki asked himself, why? Why do two hardworking, intelligent men end up in such different places? And the answer he found changed everything.
It wasn't luck. It wasn't education. It wasn't even how hard they worked.
It was how they thought about money.
Mindset. Mindset. Say it. Mindset. Mindset.
Use it like this. My mindset about money changed after reading this book. Or she has a very positive mindset about her future.
This word will come up again and again in finance books, in business books, in any conversation about success. Own this word. It is yours now.
Kiyosaki calls his real father Poor Dad, and Mike's father Rich Dad. Not because one was a bad person and one was a good person, but because one had a poor mindset about money, and one had a rich mindset. And the biggest difference between those two mindsets, that is what the whole book is about.
Okay, Alex, if someone stopped you on the street and said, what is Rich Dad, Poor Dad actually about in one sentence, what do you say?
The rich do not work for money. They make money work for them.
Say that again.
The rich do not work for money. They make money work for them.
What does that actually mean, though? Because I think a lot of people hear that and think, okay, great, but how?
Let me explain it the way Rich Dad explained it to young Kiyosaki. Most of us grow up learning one path. You go to school, you study hard, you get good grades, you find a good job, you get a salary, you pay your bills, you save a little, and then you do it again next month, and the month after, and the year after. Forever. Forever. Until you retire, and you hope you saved enough.
And Kiyosaki has a name for this cycle. What is it?
The rat race.
Rat race. Like a rat running on a wheel inside a cage, always moving, always working, but going nowhere.
Say it. Rat race. And use it. I am tired of the rat race. She escaped the rat race by investing early. He never questioned the rat race until he read this book.
And Rich Dad's lesson, the first lesson in the whole book, was this. Poor people and middle-class people work for money. Rich people have money work for them. But how do you make that shift? How do you get from one to the other?
It starts with a question. A very small question that changes everything. Poor Dad used to say, I cannot afford this. Rich Dad said, never say that.
What do you say instead?
How can I afford this?
That is such a small change.
Tiny change, enormous difference. I cannot afford it. Your brain stops. Question answered, move on. How can I afford it? Your brain starts working. It looks for solutions. It finds opportunities.
And this is not just finance advice. This is English advice. This is life advice. The words you use shape how you think. How you think shapes what you do. What you do shapes your entire life.
Choose your words carefully.
Especially the ones you say to yourself. Okay, now we get to the part of the book that I think genuinely changes how you see every single purchase you ever make.
Assets and liabilities.
Explain this like I am 10 years old.
Happily, an asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That is it. That is the whole idea.
That simple?
That simple. Kiyosaki says, the rich focus on buying assets. The poor and middle class focus on buying liabilities. But, and this is the key, they think they are buying assets.
Wait, give me examples, real examples.
Okay, you buy a rental apartment. Someone pays you rent every month. Money comes into your pocket. That is an asset. You buy stocks that pay dividends. Money comes into your pocket every quarter. Asset. You build a small online business. It earns money while you sleep. Asset.
And liabilities?
You buy a car on a loan. Every month, car payment, insurance, fuel, maintenance. Money leaves your pocket. Liability. You buy a big television on credit. Monthly payments. Money leaves your pocket. Liability.
What about a house? Because everyone says buying a house is the best investment.
And this is where Kiyosaki makes people very uncomfortable. Tell them. He says, your home, the one you live in, is a liability, not an asset. Because every month, mortgage payment, property tax, maintenance, repairs, money is leaving your pocket, not entering it. Now, people argue with him about this a lot. And that is a fair argument for another episode. But his point is not that your home is bad. His point is, do you know which one it is? Do you know the difference? Because most people never ask that question. Asset, liability. Say them. Asset, liability. These two words, if you truly understand them, you will never look at a purchase the same way again. Every time you spend money, ask yourself, is this an asset or a liability? Is this putting money in my pocket or taking it out? And here is the beautiful thing. You just learned these two words in English with real meaning, with real examples, not from a textbook, from a conversation about real life. That is how English actually works. In context, in stories, in conversations like this one. You are already doing it right now, just by listening.
Okay, Alex. honest conversation. Because I think we need to say something that the book does not always say clearly.
Go ahead.
This book is inspiring. The ideas are powerful, but it does not always tell you exactly how to start. If someone is living paycheck to paycheck, hearing buy assets, not liabilities, can feel like, okay, great. With what money?
That is a completely fair point. And I think Kiyosaki himself would agree. This book is not a step-by-step guide. It is a perspective shift, a mindset shift. Before you can change your actions, you have to change how you think.
So where do you actually start? If someone is listening right now and they have very little savings, what is the first real step?
Rich Dad's answer was financial education. Before you invest money, invest in knowledge. Read, learn, understand how money works. Because a person with financial knowledge and no money can build wealth. But a person with money and no financial knowledge will lose it.
Say that again slowly, because that is important.
A person with financial knowledge and no money can build wealth. A person with money and no financial knowledge will lose it.
And that is exactly why this podcast exists. We are building both financial knowledge and the English to talk about it, read about it, think about it clearly.
Because here is something people do not think about. A lot of the world's best financial content, books, podcasts, courses, articles, is in English. If your English is strong, that entire world opens up to you.
Double advantage. You understand money better, and you can access more knowledge about money because your English is stronger. That is not a small thing. That is enormous.
Kiyosaki calls it financial IQ. We would call it financial IQ plus language IQ. And together, they are unstoppable. Financial freedom, not financial success, not financial security, financial freedom. There is a difference. Success means you earned a lot. Security means you saved some. Freedom means you never have to work for money again, unless you want to. And that is what Rich Dad, Poor Dad is ultimately about. Not getting rich, getting free. Okay, before we close, let's do something fun. A real conversation using everything we learned today. The way real people actually talk. Two friends, one just started reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. One finished it last year. They are catching up over coffee.
Let's go.
Hey, you started Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? What do you think so far?
I am only halfway through, but it already completely changed my mindset about money.
That word, mindset, comes up everywhere in that book.
Right? And the rat race idea? I kept thinking, am I in the rat race? Am I just working to pay bills forever?
Most people are. The book is not saying quit your job. It is saying understand the game you are playing.
And the assets versus liabilities thing, that blew my mind. I always thought my car was an asset.
Everyone does, until they read that book.
So what did you actually change after reading it? What was your first step toward financial freedom?
Honestly, I started with financial education first. I read more. I started understanding where my money was going. Before I could buy assets, I needed to understand what assets even were.
And now?
Now, I think differently about every single purchase. Asset or liability? That question changed everything.
Asset or liability? I love that it is just 4 words, but it means so much. Did you catch all the vocabulary from today inside that conversation?
Mindset, the rat race, assets, liabilities, financial freedom. all 5, used naturally, the way real people talk.
Because that is the goal. Not just to know these words, but to use them comfortably, naturally, without thinking.
And now, you are closer to that than you were 20 minutes ago.
Before we go, 3 things from today that you must remember.
1. Mindset. The difference between rich dad and poor dad was not money. It was mindset. How you think about money changes everything.
2. Asset or liability. Every time you spend money, ask yourself, is this putting money in my pocket or taking it out?
3. Change the question. Do not say, I cannot afford this. Ask, how can I afford this? One small word, completely different direction.
In your English words today, mindset, the rat race, asset, liability, financial freedom. Use them this week. Say them out loud. Write them in a sentence. Make them yours. Next episode, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Why do intelligent people make terrible decisions with money? What does science say about how our brains actually handle wealth? You do not want to miss it.
Subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening.
Share this episode with one person who is learning English or trying to understand money better. It takes 1 second and it means everything to us. And leave us a comment. Which idea from today hit you the hardest? The rat race, asset versus liability, or the question, how can I afford it?
We read every single comment. Every one.
Thank you for being here. I am Maya.
I am Alex.
And this is the podcast where your wallet and your English grow together. See you next time. Complete vocabulary summary from this episode.
Mindset. Meaning how a person thinks about life, money, and possibilities. Example 1. Rich dad had a wealth mindset. Poor dad had a survival mindset. Example 2. Your mindset is the starting point of every financial decision you make. The rat race. Meaning working endlessly just to survive, never getting truly ahead. Example 1. He escaped the rat race by building passive income streams of his own. Example 2. Most people never question the rat race until something forces them to stop. Asset. Meaning anything that puts money into your pocket or grows in value. Example 1. A rental property is an asset. A stock that pays dividends is an asset. Example 2. Invest in assets first. Let them pay for your lifestyle. Liability. Meaning anything that takes money out of your pocket regularly. Example 1. A car loan is a liability. Unnecessary subscriptions are liabilities. Example 2. The rich minimize liabilities and maximize assets. Financial freedom. Meaning having enough income from assets to live without working for a salary. Example 1. Financial freedom means you choose to work, not because you have to. Example 2. Building assets is the path to financial freedom.